Okay, this video is going to cover personal residence asset protection. I have put out several other videos that cover asset protection for real estate investors who have a portfolio of investment properties that they're renting out. This one is going to be specific to an asset protection structure that can be used to protect your personal residence if you own one. Same strategy, same reason for the structure is to protect yourself from creditors that may or may not have a claim against you. And so if you own a home or you are a realtor, real estate agent, or broker, and you have clients that might benefit from this, this video should be useful. So let's assume here that we have a homeowner, and we will call them John Doe. John Doe is the owner of this house. And John Doe wants to protect that house from potential creditors. Let's say John is driving down the road, coming home from work one day, he gets into a car accident. It'd probably be a good idea for him to get this property out of his personal name and into a land trust, which we will use here as a representation of this land trust. So we will call this land trust we'll call it Freedom Land Trust. And Freedom Land Trust will now hold title to John Doe's home. We're not refinancing, we're not changing anything other than the ownership of Mr. Doe's house. So, in order to have a land trust set up, we need to have a trustee. The trustee is essentially in control of the trust assets. And so what we would do here is we would set up an LLC, again, in the state of Wyoming. And we would call this LLC, we'll call it Freedom Fighter LLC. And again, as I mentioned, this will be registered in the state of Wyoming. Why Wyoming? Well, if you did not see my other videos, the reason we like to use the state of Wyoming is because when you file the articles of organization for an LLC in the state of Wyoming, you're not listing any of your personal information. You're not listing your phone number, your address, your personal name, your spouse's name. There's nothing personal that goes into the Secretary of State's website. So if anyone wanted to try and look you up, they wouldn't find anything. So we make this Wyoming LLC here. This is our trustee of Freedom Land Trust. So let's say John's driving down the road, he gets into a car accident, and someone gets injured, and they want to see if they have a chance of any recovery, namely to see if John has any assets or equity or cash from which they could recover in a lawsuit. So they're going to go and they're going to look probably in the county in which John lives and determine if he owns any real estate, investment properties, or personal residence in that county to see if they can attach a judgment to that property, and that would help them make a decision as to whether or not they move forward with the lawsuit. So when they go and look in that county's clerk of court website or the property appraiser's website, they are going to find that John's house is owned by Freedom Land Trust. And they would see on the deed, because we would transfer the title from John Doe's name into basically John would deed the property to Freedom Land Trust, controlled by the trustee, which is Freedom Fighter LLC. And again, when they go and look up Freedom Fighter LLC in the Secretary of State website for Wyoming, they're not going to find anything related to John. Now, is this a bulletproof strategy? No, because all they would have to do is trace the chain of title to see that John owned this property immediately before Freedom Land Trust did. But what it does do, And why I believe that it's worth having a setup like this is because it gives some bargaining power back to John. It gives it back to the owner and allows them to kick the can down the road further and further. It allows them to increase the costs of a potential plaintiff or a creditor that would want to collect from John. So a lot of times attorneys will run away from cases that they know they're going to have to put extra work into and extra time for the chance of recovery. So if we can create hurdles and barriers and issues for recovery, it puts some bargaining power back in John's hands. Now, again, by making it difficult to discover who the actual owner is, or to discover if John actually has an equity ownership stake in his personal residence, they'd have to do a lot of extra work just to get to that point. But what we could do, if we wanted to take it even a step further, is to create another Wyoming LLC. And in this one, we would call this, this company would act as the owner of Freedom Land Trust. So how it stands right now is we just have John's house being owned inside of Freedom Land Trust, and Freedom Land Trust is a standalone structure. So what we would do to take it a step further to protect John, if John, let's say John has other residences, other investment properties, we'd create another LLC to be the owner of Freedom Land Trust, and we could call this one, say, Dark Domain LLC, and this is the owner of Freedom Land Trust. So, if you saw one of my previous videos that lays out or explains the benefits of LLC protection or limited liability protection, by doing so here, again, this is essentially a duplicate, or a duplicate but a less valuable duplicate of John. So this creates a barrier between John's other personal assets, which he may have over here. He may have other investment properties, warehouses, personal storage units, brokerage accounts, so on and so forth. So if we can create this LLC, again, without John's name attached anywhere to it, this could act as a barrier, a further barrier between a potential creditor that would want to come after John's house, and we would limit any of that recovery to what is inside of this LLC. Now, is this a bulletproof system? No, but again, like I said, it creates an added layer of protection and additional hurdles for an individual to pursue John. So if in the event they got to a negotiation or a mediation, it would allow John to have some bargaining power to say, hey, of course you're going to challenge the legitimacy of this LLC as the owner of this land trust. I'm going to fight you the whole way. The amount of recovery that you could expect is not guaranteed, and I'm going to drive up your costs as high as I possibly can. So why don't we just settle at our policy limits today and everyone goes away happy? So if you have any questions about any strategies like this, check out some of my other videos related to LLC protections for various other individuals, whether you own multifamily properties or single family properties. If you have any questions, please let me know, and until next time, thank you so much for watching.